Round number 13 of the 2010 DM Junior Series place was in South Carolina, and at no better track than the Darlington Raceway, one of the trickiest ovals to drive, the fast lane being right next to the wall. Winning the pole is Gaspar de Souza of Portugal. Most of his success in racing has been on road courses, except in the TM Master Cup Series, where he got a third at Indianapolis this year. Fantastic effort for him. Anyway, he's on pole. Avery Holtzman on the outside, and you'll notice everyone is staying well off the bottom of the racetrack. Fast lane right around the outside here, and this is probably the hardest oval to drive. Gearbox problems hurt second in points. Milano Rossini and car 312 drops out of the race well before the end of the first lap. Before the end of the second lap, we got our first caution. Little early, if you ask me. Pole sitter Gaspar de Souza is going to earn a Darlington stripe, runs into the wall up there. Avery Holtzman tries to be aggressive, goes 3 wide, clips the back of the 166, gets into Mike Andrews in the 500, sends himself and Andrews spinning out. No damage to any car. In fact, everyone continued on without a problem. Well, except for this. Billy Bob Childers tries to avoid running into Holtzman, runs into the back of Curtis Darcy, and then ends up pinching Giancarlo Stefani and Chris Cole into the wall. Yeah. I'm about that puzzled too. Normally, when avoiding incidents, the first thing I would think of using is the brake pedal. Anyway, leading the race on the restart would be Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. of Canada. Gaspar de Souza in second, American Manny Brown in third, Canadian Tyson Lautenschlager in fourth, and Giancarlo Stefani of Italy sits in the fifth position. Now, Quiggles having a very strong run so far this year. He snagged his first career win earlier in the year, but here's a guy who's gotten 3 wins in 6 races. Yep, Luciano Salvaral, who is going to be going to the Master Cup Series next year to drive for the Bolton Speed Stable. He's currently a little further back in the pack than he'd like. After a great qualifying effort, a slow pit stop, yes, people were pitting under that yellow, put him a little further back in the field. Car 232, that blue and silver car, is being driven by one of Katsev Engineering's reserve drivers, Mikhail Polyakov, after Katsev, who owns his car, was a little tired of seeing Corsa's reserve driver, Lucas D'Ambrosio, running in the midfield most of the race. Well, it doesn't appear there's much of a change. Lap 10, Gaspar de Souza in the 166 car rolls the dice on strategy and hits the pit lane. Billy Bob Childers works his way into second, and working his way up into third is Danish driver Jan Lauritsen. The first Danish driver to ever go full-time in a TM series. He's running very well this race. So is that car, the 001 car, driven by Brooke Ingverson of Little Rock, Arkansas, who is going to be driving in Champ Car, I believe, next year. Ingverson is one of Alexis Rainsford's good friends, I hear. And that's how Ingverson basically got the drive. She has no intention of running this series full-time in the future. She's going for a second, though, in her first ever start at this racetrack, because, of course, the Pacific Champ Cars have too many G's around this racetrack for it to be safe, and here she goes around the 135 of Chad Lindy, who just took the lead away from Quiggles Jr., so Ingverson is clearly flying in that 001 car. But keep in mind, debutant David Wu almost won last time, and speaking of a streak coming to an end, well, that's Luciano Salvaral, whose streak of 6 top 10s in his first 6 races is going to come to an end. A caution comes out on lap 26, the second caution of the evening. Quan Cheng in car number 339 is going to get a little aggressive, trying to pass the 212 of Luis Telez. Telez is, well, doesn't have any room to give him. Cheng spins out, collects Kyle Schmielowitz in the 777, and Carter Davids in the 387, that green car, who is having an absolutely terrible year in this series. Nothing can go right for him. Chad Lindy took the lead in the pits and on the restart. He gets around the lapped cars of Curtis Darcy and Gaspar de Souza. That early pit gamble didn't work. However, we got another caution soon after that restart. Okay, that is Mikhail Polyakov going 3 wide with Curtis Darcy. Darcy didn't like the way Polyakov was racing him and spun him in front of the whole field. Takes out Ingverson in the 001, Ryan Baldwell, Axel Andersson, Gaspar de Souza, Craig Janssers flipping, Mike Andrews, Luis Telez, Tyson Lautenschlager, Emmanuel Rodrigo. Apparently doesn't know where the brake is. Okay, there we go. Oh my. There's Anderson in that green and that blue car. Baldwell, De Souza's nowhere to go. I think that was Bruce Wilkinson. And who is that piling into the back there? I think that was CJ Long. Alex Neshmary in the 137 gets into it. Thomas Moore I see there, along with Dylan Cardoza and Azuma Kazuyama. On board Craig Janser. Now, he has absolutely nowhere to go. He thinks he's got a room there, but he doesn't. Hits Scott Schleier, flips over a couple of times. Rather lazy rolls, I might add. And, well, that was a very interesting incident. The officials wanted a word with Curtis Darcy and Mikhail Polyakov after the race. Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. had the lead on the restart, but you're going to notice lap cars are jamming him up. Jan Lorentzen is going to be thanking those lap cars because he's going to take advantage. Dan McKay in that 900 car, by the way, is running in third. He came from way east to qualify towards the back of the field, and here he is charging to the front. McKay going for second. He's got it. Packer Carroll in the 110 car there as well, having a fine run so far. Right in the back of this pack, Avery Holtzman in the 134, Chad Lindy the 135, and the 136 of Billy Bob Childers. Those are the EV racing cars. There is Jan Lauritsen getting a little close to the wall. He's still having a fantastic drive tonight. The best run he's had all year. And he's been looking to have something to speak for his season. After a great run last year, he just has not had the luck this year. Luis Tellez is going to be roadblock number 1 in that bright orange and blue car. Well, he's not necessarily earning too many friends out there with his blocking tactics. Well, then again, there really isn't too much room to move there for Lewis, so I'm going to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt there. Avery Holtzman in car 134 is currently leading the race. The two cars in front of him, Ross Schleier and Curtis Darcy, are both a lap down, or at least they will be once Holtzman gets around them. Darcy, not necessarily earning too many friends with his driving either. Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. is going to make a move for the lead around Avery Holtzman, who is going to drive for the Gessler team with the Richter team in the Master Cup Series next year. Scotty Hamilton in the 444 car, who we're on board with right now, is going to try to take the lead from Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. driving a car that looks identical to Marcus Leonard's Master Cup car from earlier in the year. And looky here, two more. It's Azuma Kazuyama and Luis Tellez. Gee, why am I not surprised by either one of those? Anyway, Avery Holtzman's going to be held up by Kezit. Wow. Billy Bob Childers just ran over his own teammate, Avery Holtzman, who's fighting for the championship. Hello? That was a very interesting maneuver, and I don't think the EV racing bosses are going to be too impressed with that. Here's Dan McKay and Leslie Riggs. They're battling for position. I think they're 6th and 7th, and McKay currently not playing nice with Leslie Riggs at the moment. But both of them having a very distinguished night after a fairly nondescript season so far. On board with Ebenezer Quiggles Jr., and that looks like trouble with a capital T. It's called back markers. That won't get out of the way. Well, Pete Maverick is in that 018 car well, this whole schmozzle is just not doing Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. any good at all. Well, it's brought Scott Hamilton, Curtis Darcy's not battle for position either, is that 995 car, but that's really going to hurt Quiggles. However, he eventually sizes his way through this mess, and then decides it's better to abort that by hitting the pit lane along with Trevin Terrell in the 550, who actually was a battle for position, and Scott Hamilton. During that pit stop cycle, we had another caution. Rather, I should say, directly after that pit stop cycle. Gee, it involves Luis Tellez, but this time it's not his fault. Mike Andrews just jumps right in front of him, sends Luis Tellez and Gasper D'Souza. Did anything go right for D'Souza this race? And Quan Ching, I believe, are going to all... No, I think that was Polyakov's car. Yeah, Mike Andrews pretty much just didn't give Luis Tellez any room and just shoved him up into the wall. Now, that was Mikhail Polyakov in that 232 car. His race is going to end after, well, many problems. Mike Andrews was called to the hauler. His teammate Trevin Terrell in the 550 car was leading on the restart. Terrell has been very impressive so far in the TM Junior Series, but he's got a lot of lap cars and cars sitting on the tail end of the lead lap right in front of him. Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. quickly got around Terrell and most of those lap cars, and, well, then he had to catch them again. Here he is. Avery Holtzman's not a battle for position. That didn't really matter because Holtzman blew up just a few laps later. In the 134 car, Holtzman came into this race leading the points. Of course, there's Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. still leading, and it really wouldn't be enough for anyone to catch him because, well, he was just too good at getting through lap traffic. It's as simple as that. It's kind of unfortunate that lap cars decided this one more than anything else. Trevin Terrell, another great drive from him, came home second. Manny Brown in third. Dan McKay came all the way back from 35th. finished 10 seconds behind the leaders in 4th, and then Chad Lindy was on the lead lap, but he was kind of in that big gaggle of lap cars, and he finished in P5. Packer Carroll, Chris Cole, Jan Larson, who needed this run, Curtis Darcy, and a big round of applause to Bruce Wilkinson, who scores in the top 10 for this race. Due to Avery Holtzman failing to finish the race and Chad Lindy having a strong run, Lindy takes over the points lead despite not winning a race this year. Avery Holtzman, who has 3 wins, sits 2nd in the standings. Curtis Darcy sits 3rd for now because Darcy's been invited to the officials' hauler for a friendly little chat. And he sits 3rd right now. Scott Hamilton 4th, may be 3rd by the next time you see the TM Junior Series points. 5th, Milano Rossini. 6th, Trevin Terrell, and his teammate Mike Andrews, who has also been invited to the hauler for a friendly little chat with the officials. I believe we may be seeing Andrews and Darcy tumble down the point standings just a little bit. Packer Carroll jumps up to 8th, yet to win a race. I'm kind of surprised he hasn't. Billy Bob Childers in 9th. Probably hasn't earned any brownie points with the team, and Ryan Baldwell sits 10th in the standings, despite not finishing in the top 5 all season. Anyway, 11 through 20 is Emmanuel Rodrigo, who has had a very good season so far. He'll be driving for the Gutierrez team and the Team Lights next year. Pete Maverick, not finished in the top 5 either, but he's apparently had a lot of very consistent runs. Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. has 2 wins, and he sits 13th in the standings, but he also has 5 DNFs. Then Chris Allen and Dan McKay rounds out your top 15.